do something. What happened there?
I realized we weren't recording.
Okay. All right, gotcha. Start to question everything, guys. Yeah. All right. So let's bring on our guests. Caroline, I'm gonna let you do the majority of the talking here.
The ladies are in the house.
Yeah.
Hi, Melida. I want to bring onto I was going to say the stage. We're not at a KCF Live, are we? Onto the call the amazing Melida Cohen, and I thought that it would be we thought it'd be great to have you on here so we could talk a little bit about what it's really like to live with Ty. Joking, but actually, you know, what it's like to raise a family, get the balance right when you're both entrepreneurs, building multiple successful businesses. So welcome and hello.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
So what do you think, to start us off, what do you think what are your sort of key ingredients for success in terms of getting that balance right?
So let's see. I think that what me and Ty have is, I hear people a lot of times when they're together and they talk about what they don't have in common. They focus on those things. And I think that me and Ty are opposites in a lot of things. And I do think that that's what makes us work. For instance, we were just talking about the things that you do that you don't want to do to get to your next level. And Ty is just going to jump in there and do those things. He says that he's not, or he gets here, but he really is. He's just going to say he might procrastinate for a few hours, but then after that, he's all in. Me, I'm a procrastinator. So I'm going to wait on it. I'm a social butterfly. Ty is not. So when we go to events and to meet other entrepreneurs, other marketers, I usually I'm able to talk to people, bring on more partnerships, joint ventures, things like that, just because talking to everybody comes really easy for me. And sometimes for Ty, he just needs to step back and take a moment, and it could really be a chore at times. And then at other times, he's out there just like everybody else.
It's interesting what you said about how you complement each other because you're both so different, and that's why it works. So yeah, Ty's shared before with us how he is often becomes more of an introvert, and how you're, like you say, you're very much like me. You're the sort of person after an event where you just hang out until like 1 a.m. Chatting, because I am.
Yeah, I'll be out. Ty's like, I'm going back to the room. And next quarter we're talking, and I got 2-3 people that want to meet and talk. So
yeah, which is amazing, because then you get all the contacts.
Yeah, typically, for more people, the less likely I was to be present. Now, and I say was because, again, right, I've been working on not being attached to the personality that I've been, right, so long. So Susan says, Ty, this is the ladies' time. Susan. And speaking of ladies, really quickly, I want to take a second to congratulate Tracy, right? So Tracy was like, I love these MMM meetings because I no longer feel alone. I had a big boom last night. My first Kindle Vella bonus came through, and it was over $250. Right? So congrats to Tracy.
That's amazing.
Boom.
That's awesome.
That's a big boom.
And then she goes on, she says, in true KCF MMM family fashion, she says, if you have questions about the Vella platform, feel free to ask me in the group, and I'll help you if I can. All right, so
that's wonderful.
Tracy, I don't know if you posted your results, but if you did, look for Tracy's post and ask her questions. And then Caroline and Abby also have a Kindle Vella course that's coming up pretty soon. So
yeah, very soon.
Yeah, tons of help. So Mel, I want to ask you a question real quick, because you talked about like how we are a little bit different, right? There are times where I know that I could probably drive you crazy with wanting to work, right? Especially when we first got together. Like I used to just want to, like I just had to figure this damn thing out. Like I want to just put the time in. I want to go in and commit to work. And I know that I probably wasn't as present in our relationship as I should have been. As a matter of fact, I used to be on a computer so much that Mel used to have a joke, and it was like, the only way she could get me to bed at night is if she wore a laptop on her nightie, right? So that was the joke that she. So how was it difficult for you? Like what allowed you to get through that? Because I know that I was so conscious of it that I'm like, damn, I know I should be in bed with her right now. I know I should spend a little bit more time with her, but I also need to be a little bit selfish right now, because the thing that I'm working on it for the betterment of our family and our extended family, because we help a lot of our extended family out as well. So that was my goal there at the time, was like, I know. So how did you deal with that? Because I don't think we ever spoke about that ever.
So for me, I'm the type of person that I do look at what everyone else is doing. And
so hold on, Polly says the real question is,
yeah, I was just about to say,
why did you stay with me? Like, why did you stick with me? Because we were super broke. We didn't have money or anything like that, right? We were just trying to figure it out. I was telling them the other day that our house in Connecticut, we almost lost our house. This was our very first house, so we was having a very transparent moment. And anyone else would have walked out. Most people had an option to walk out. We weren't doing it.
So let me answer it in two parts. So the first answer would be is looking at other people and what results they're getting from their lifestyle, meaning friends, family members who, they may sit on the couch all night and watch TV, or on Sundays watch football, but then looking at their lifestyle and seeing the results of those actions, right? So they're not living the life that me and Ty set out to give to our families. They're not doing the things that we set out to have. They're not changing the trajectory of their families' finances for generations to come. Those kind of things I would look at. So I'm not a person that, on this thing, me and Ty are probably pretty much alike. I'm not a person that needs a ton of attention. We take trips, we do things, even staycations, to get that time with each other where the focus is on each other. And then if we're around the house, we're living life. We've got very busy kids. We're down to the wire where we're about to be empty nesters in 3 years.
Yay!
But our kids are super busy. And
I know she looks super young, but she's actually very old.
Yeah, so I look a lot younger than I am. So yeah, our oldest is 25, if that tells you. But our youngest is 15 and she is a sophomore. So our kids, they were just super busy. I was running around with them. There's times like when Ty was talking about when we almost lost that home or things like that happened, where I went back to work to cover things like health insurance and things that we probably were paying out of pocket, big expenses, to now take that burden off. And I had my own life too, right? So I think that's important.
You're a nurse, weren't you, Melida?
Yes, I'm a nurse. I don't practice, but I am a nurse. And I think it's important for us to try to maintain our own semblance of our life anyway. So I can't say that those times bother me, because I know that he was working towards a bigger goal. The second part is, why would I stay with Ty? I think that was the question somebody asked. One thing about Ty is Ty has never, this is very important for all the serial entrepreneurs who have spouses that are questioning your choices. You need to really look at what you've done, how you've trained them, to look at how you're going to handle whatever business idea it is.
Wait, are you saying you trained me, woman?
Hold on, let me finish. Ty has never let me down. He's never let me down. I will follow Ty to the end of the earth. And the reason why is because when Ty says, Mel, he's the only person that calls me Mel. Me and Caroline just talked about that. He'll say, Mel, my goal is for us XYZ, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 to get there. Ty will hit XYZ and he'll do 1, 2, 3 to get there. We've probably had 2 times in going on 21 years where there might have been a hiccup, a wrench thrown, something financially that didn't go right. But he doesn't sit things down. He doesn't say, this didn't work, so I'm on to the next thing. He doesn't let me down. And I do think I was talking to a girlfriend recently, a few weeks ago, and that's one of the main issues in her marriage is that her husband has these business epiphanies and she'll help him build them, or she's his biggest cheerleader. And then some little thing happens and he doesn't want to touch it anymore. And he's now trained her to the point now where when he has an idea, she's just like, yeah, that's on you to handle at this point. She doesn't even want to give her help.
She doesn't trust him.
Because she doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
And, I think that when you get into those things, we really have to look at how do we, train our spouses to perceive us? Do they think we're going to hit our goals? Do they think we're going to put in the work to get it? Ty can't say, Mel, I got this plan for us to buy 5 new properties this year. So I want you to make these sacrifices and I'm going to make these sacrifices. And then I turn around and he's not making any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So he practices what he preaches
Mm-hmm.
and never lets you down and is totally committed, which is what we talk about in relation to sort of treating our businesses as, a love affair. Nurture them, give them the attention.
It goes back to what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, guys. Who remembers that talk, right? We're training 2 people primarily, and it's the people that are the most close to us. And someone was asking, so her name is Melida, so there's no N. It's just like Melinda, but no N. So we're training 2 people. The first person that we're training is ourselves. When we say, hey, I'm going to jump into this program, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do X, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to eat better. And then our brain says, yeah, right. I've heard this story 10 times before. Yeah, you're going to do it. I already know how this act is going to go. You're going to do it for 3 weeks. Then you're going to see the donuts and you're going to give in. You're going to do it for a month. And then you're going to, a holiday is going to come up and you're going to say, oh, it's a holiday. I can eat whatever I want. A weekend's got to come up. You got to go on vacation. And you got to say, well, I could put this business off to the side. Remember, every single day you're doing something in your business, right? So you're going to have these breaks, which is normal people stuff. We're creating separation here. If you want to have a different life, you can't be normal. You have to get to a point where people look at you and they think that you are a freaking alien because you're not doing normal people stuff. And I'm not saying that to diss normal people. I'm saying it to really give you an idea as to what you have to do in order to be different. And it can happen I'm 50 years old right now, and I'm totally reinventing my life right now. I'm approaching this from the standpoint as if I was 1 year old. I was just thinking about this in the shower this morning. I need to approach this the next 89 years of my life, because my plan is to live to 129, as if right now I'm 1 year old and I'm starting all over again. So imagine if you're talking to a 20-year-old and they're like, hey, Flo Williams, what's some advice that you would give me? There's probably a couple of things that you could give that person, right? Hey, don't mess with these types of guys. They're no good. Don't go here, right? Don't do this, right? My mom used to say she doesn't like no ugly ass man. So her advice would be like, don't mess with an ugly man, right? So there's certain things that you would be able to tell your younger self. And that's the conversation that my wife and my mom had. She never told that to me. I was like, whoa, my mom said that to you? Oh, Jesus Christ. So I'm getting a little bit off track there.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that the 2 people that you're training, yourself, and then your spouse or your significant, you're not training them in the wrong direction. I know the couple that my wife's talking about, right? And I know them without her even having to say the name, because I know the individual and I know their habits. Ask yourself, what are your habits? Are you a starter and stopper? And if you are, at any moment you could change that. The late Jim Rohn used to say, at any moment we could totally revolutionize the way that we approach our life. At any moment we could do that. And I have Jim Rohn in my head every time when there's a doubt that starts to come up. Every time we want to go in and I want to publish more books. I've published hundreds of books, probably thousands. Every time there's another doubt that comes in my head, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You've done it already. Every time we want to buy another property, what are you doing? Like, we've done it. Why is there even a doubt here? Right? So you have to question what it is that you're doing and who are you conditioning to believe, to not believe in you. And it starts with yourself. Are you questioning or conditioning yourself to not believe in you? And then your spouse as well. Now, here's the thing. At any moment also, you could change that up. If your spouse currently doesn't believe in you, if your significant doesn't currently believe in you, you can change that up. It's not going to happen overnight. Do not expect them to believe in you overnight. It's going to take years, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. But the good thing about that is the year or the 2 years is going to pass anyway. If you're 70 years old now, you're going to be 71 next year, 72. That's going to pass anyway. So why not work on bettering yourself so that you can get to this position where you're the person who says, I'm going to do this, and then you do it.
Yeah, and also, yeah, it's always an inside job. But then, you know, sometimes not every spouse, even, you know, I shared the story, I think it was last week, about how mine walked out and left because he was fed up with the hours that I was doing. And it, you know, 1 month later, I had the breakthrough.
Yeah.
So
imagine if you would have conformed. Like, imagine if you would have just said, listen, if you were to start walking with his pace. Sidney Poitier, right? He has a book called The Measure of a Man. The actor Sidney Poitier. And in his book, he talked about in life, he used the analogy of walking being life. He says, one of two things happen. He says, either we adapt to someone else's pace or they adapt to ours. Whose pace are you adapting to? So imagine if you would adapt to his pace and you would have gave in. Then we wouldn't have the Caroline that we have today. Like, do you guys see that? Like, imagine if she would have just made that. It's a butterfly effect. If she would have just said, shit, okay. And if you guys have kids in the room, get rid of the kids because I'm emotional right now. There's going to be a curse word or two that comes out. All right. So imagine if she would have said, geez, all right, the guy doesn't like me putting in the time. Imagine if my wife would have said that. If I would have said that. And like, there's so many things that would not have happened. Imagine if you give in right now, there's so many people that you will not be able to serve just because you're giving in.
And also it's the example you set your children. You know, this guy like started swearing at them, and then it was, you know, I can be pretty emotional and give as good as I get, but it was one of those points actually that I was so measured, and it was very quick. And it was like, you know, my daughter came down and anyway, he walked out and left. I locked the door. I looked at Melida and said, okay, everyone in bed, you know, we're all good. Made a cup of tea, went to my computer and said, okay, I'm there now. You know, and so in a way that was sort of shedding off, because it wasn't the sort of relationship that you two have, because it isn't just about, it's sometimes in life, what happens is as you go through this transition, I'm not saying that this is going to happen to anyone else, but sometimes you find that in order to be what you want to be, you do people do leave your life and different people come into your life, and that's sort of the natural order of things. But it was the one time when I've been really authentic and thought, no, this is gonna, and you know, everyone's entitled to their own approaches in life, but I'd had a business that for 6 years had not given me what I thought and then I'd gone into this business. So it was sort of like, here we go again. So a bit like Melida was saying about when people are like, here we go again, because I hadn't shown and proved, actually, it's a really good point. I hadn't shown and proved that I could do it. And so actually that was all about me in that previous business. Too busy, got another job, you know, all of those sort of things. So but I had, you know, but it's really interesting, isn't it, that sometimes these contrasting things happen, and just when they happen, that's when the breakthrough, and then life can change. But I think for Melida and the things that you were saying, it's a lot about, like you say, you trusted Ty, he was practicing what he was preaching, unlike other people.
I think that sometimes everyone also, probably in your case, everyone is not meant to come along in your journey to success. What you're saying is something I watched just happen to a family member, almost down to the date. Her husband walked out, and a month later, it all rained down.
Yeah.
And kind of the same idea. And sometimes everyone isn't meant to be a part of your journey. And to me, because that's kind of sometimes the answer on that too. We do have to watch how we're showing up. If we're bringing forth what we're supposed to bring forth. I'm working on this business, but am I still contributing to the family in some way? Am I still putting aside a time? But if all that stuff was happening, everyone just isn't meant to come along in your journey, and that's okay too. Another, I think, important thing for me to point out and is communication is very key. When me or Ty are trying to accomplish something, it's not just a quick conversation. Hey, I'm going to do this in passing. If it's a big situation that's going to take time away from the family, our lifestyle habits are going to change. I'm all of a sudden I'm a night owl, right? So I'm up till 1 a.m. most nights. Ty's in bed earlier. If I'm going to flip flop that, or he's going to flip flop that, that requires a sit down conversation, not only with me and him, also our kids. Your kids have to be on board. Kids deserve to know what's happening, what changes are happening. When COVID hit, we got a lot of how do you guys work in the house with your kids? And that's always been our lifestyle, right? So here we got a ton of people all of a sudden going to working at home and their kids at home. And our kids don't know any different.
That's your dynamic already.
We don't just say, be quiet, right? Go in your room, be quiet. It's more so, hey, we really need you guys to keep the noise down from these hours, because this is what we're trying to do. And us accomplishing this takes care of the home, takes care of this, is giving people a full understanding of what you're asking of them. Yeah. And I think that goes a long way.
Communication's key, isn't it? I've done this. I say this we said this before on a call, and I say this to people. I always say, just if you've got a partner that's sort of not understanding where you are and the balance is all, there's a time when you're building your business and the balance is all, crazy.
Yeah, there's no such thing as full balance in life.
Absolutely, because it's so easy for people to see your family and the success now, and the last 18 years has been a journey. There'll be ebbs and flows, ups and downs, and it's so easy that people see like the tip of the iceberg. They don't see the underneath, what it takes to build businesses when you've got children. And I think that a lot of it is also down to you and your resilience, because there'll have been times when you like, I could do with a bit of help here, or I wish you'd sort of come to bed earlier. So you've got to be resilient. And so it's not just about Ty coming up with the goods when he says he's going to do something to do it, but it's actually about your resilience. And some people they're not made up like that. They just the key thing with you is you understand what you're all understanding.
We always set out to have a balanced home, right? So balanced home means financially, our kids well looked after, well adjusted, happy, doing the things they want to do, and us having a happy relationship as well. But that does not mean that all of those things are each one of our responsibility. My main responsibility is the children, our home, our schedules. It doesn't mean I don't work on the business. I do. I work in the background. I handle things financially, that kind of thing. I'm not the face or anything. I get to Ty say, hey, you want to be a guest? Sure. I get to show up and go sit back.
When we have properties, like the management of our properties, right? So she handles all of this stuff. I actually feel bad sometimes. It was the other day we had an issue going on. I forgot what it was. And you were going back and forth with the guests, and I was like, maybe I should jump in, but then I fell back and I didn't.
I manage all of our Airbnb properties, and that's fine. That's where I shine at, right? This is where Ty shines. He shines as Kindle Cash Flow, the Money Morning. And God, this is what I mean about doing what
Don't screw up the name, woman. What is it?
I don't even know the name, so I'm not even gonna act like Money Morning Meetup, I think. So
Yes.
but this is what I mean about Ty.
In the house.
This is what I mean about Ty showing up. We were at an event in Miami. He had the idea maybe that Saturday. I think I heard him talking to you, Caroline, by that Monday. And I think within a few days, you guys are already holding your first.
Yeah. And
meeting.
we did that with the Digital Wealth Creation Challenge as well. That was a, let's do this. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I mean. Like he takes action to, whereas me, I would have had to get the perfect logo. I would have had to perfect all these things and then finally rolled it out. And so that's what I mean. We're balanced, right? So Ty, he doesn't, his main job isn't keep the kids scheduled. Our kids, we have a daughter who flies all over the place to compete. At one time, we had a son who was being heavily recruited for basketball, and we were out and about, so I'm usually flying a lot. I'm flying for our things. I'm flying for their things. Ty's going to jump in where he needs to, where I need him at on the kids, or when he feels like he needs to give them more time. He's going to jump up this morning to my daughter. Oh, I can take you and our neighbor up the street who we kind of carpool the two kids to school. I could take you guys to school. Even though that's a job that I handle and the dad up the street handle, me and him kind of throw off on it. The kids will just say, hey, can you do it tomorrow? And that's how we do. But then he'll jump in too. On the business, maybe 2 months ago, he had some quick projects outside of what I normally handle. Hey, Mel, can you handle this one? And then even our son, Tyler, he handed one off to Tyler. He handed one off to Summer, and we all jumped in and did those things. So when they talk about balance, I don't feel like to have everything that you're setting forth in life. Now, everyone's goals is different, but to have the goals that we're setting for, I'm not going to be balanced. Ty is not going to be balanced. He's not going to be a family and business balanced person. I'm not going to be able to be business and family balanced. But if I can lean 80% towards family and Ty can lean 80% towards business, we can still be a balanced home, a balanced family in the end.
Yeah, but not and absolutely. And that's like say to the children, we're not a normal family. We're an entrepreneurial family, and that's the thing, because as Richard Branson says, entrepreneurship is a way of life. It's not a job, so it sort of spills into everything. It's not like there are going to be some days where you're like, okay, it's movie night tonight, or okay, we're going to go and do this.
It's movie night, but Ty may work through movie night.
We have movie night, and I'm sat
we might be on vacation, and he's gonna, now if we're on a me and him vacation, he might say, from 9 a.m. on, I won't do anything. But then that means if I open my eyes by 5:30, he's up.
Yeah.
He's still getting that time in. He's just committed to put it down by 9 a.m. And I think he chooses 9 a.m. because I'm not an early riser. 9 a.m. is 8 to 9 is my preferred wake up time. So that's probably why he does that. I had someone say to me, do I plan on living to 129? I think that was Polly.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like Ty. So me and Ty are 7 years apart. So I'm going to live to 122.
Mm-hmm.
That's my choice, because I feel like he's going to be going, I'm going to be old. My kids going to be tired. They're going to be old at that point too. So I think it's going to be time for me to just go ahead and put it down with him too.
Yeah, I think so. I want to really quickly, guys. I think that 122. George says 122 is his number as well. So one of the mistakes that we can make in relationships is just wanting our partner to be just like us. We're putting our dreams off on our partners as well. So I'll be honest with you, like when I want to say maybe like during the middle of our relationship, like I wanted Mel to be so like boom, die hard, focused into entrepreneurship and so tuned into what I was doing, and just like I wanted her to have identical wishes, dreams, thoughts, and hopes that I had, right? And I was really living in a fantasy land. Like your partner is not going to have the same dreams, the same hopes, wishes, and thoughts and beliefs that you have. And like, I really battled with that for years, for probably about 6 or 7 years. That is one of the most dangerous things that you could ever do in your relationship. And the reason why is because, listen, if both of you guys are the same, it's going to be boring as hell. Number one, if you have a clone of yourself, it's going to be boring. You'll have no one to challenge you. You'll have listen, she likes asparagus and I can't stand asparagus.
You're mad if you don't like asparagus.
Tell him again.
I'm mad.
And every once in a while, so she cooks it, asparagus and mushrooms, right? If I see another mushroom in the house,
That's green beans and mushrooms.
String beans and mushrooms, right?
You don't even know what goes with asparagus.
But every once in a while, guess what happens? I'll go in and I'll try the green beans and mushrooms, only because it's positioned right here in front of my face, right? We're different in that sense. So you can't have your spouse, whether it's your significant, your husband, your wife, or even your kids, right? If you guys are not married, or if you can't have, like, they can't be 100% identical to you. Now, if they do show some interest in what it is that you're doing or what you want to do, then that's a bonus. But the pressure of, like, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I was putting a lot of pressure on our relationship when I wanted her to be 100% like me. And I realized that I was living in the fantasy land. So the saying of, if it's to be, it's up to me, is something that has to be taken to heart. All right? It has to be taken to heart. And you start to, you still love your kids, your spouse, your husband, your wife in the same way. You still appreciate them in the same way that you did. And then the other thing that I had to learn was, so during that period where I wanted her to be so tuned into what I was doing, what I was looking at her deficiencies. We're going to be really honest here on this call, right? Can we be honest? Let me know in the chat box. And we'll be really, really, really honest. So because she wasn't tuned in to what I wanted to do, I was looking at that as a deficiency. And I started to negate and like ignore all of the amazing freaking traits that she has. An incredible mom, right? A super strong woman. To put up with me, you have to be hella strong. You guys know that
he is a lot of work.
Really strong.
Health issues, right? So she would
really strong.
So right, so just a ton of things, right? She's there for my family outside of that, and then my family outside is not a normal family, right? We got some characters in my family. That could be a whole television show. So I started to, when I wanted her to be so much like me, I started to ignore the traits, the positive traits that she had. She's this individual that walks into the room and the room lights up. She's the individual where I'm like, hey, Mel, can you help me with this? Like, can you go take care of this? And she's taking care of it. We have some properties that we own with Lenny, the boss, as well, right? And sometimes we have these conversations that I just don't want to be a part of at all. I just don't want to be a part of. I'm like, and they are long conversations. You guys know that I start to tune out if it's more than a paragraph long. And Lenny, I'd say that Lenny and my wife are the same individuals. They're just one is a female, one is a male. So when they get together, the conversation can go on and on and on. So I just start to fade back and she just takes it like a champ and she just handles it. Right? So you have to look at your partner for all of the cool things that you are with that individual for right now. And if they are on board with what it is that you're doing, and that's just a bonus. Because if it's to be, it's up to you, right? If I say, hey, I want to go in and I want to move KC, I want to reach 1 million people a year. That's one of my goals that I just shared with you guys, right? Who's that up to? That's not up to Melida. It's not up to Caroline. It's not up to Nancy. It's not up to, like, they can assist me by just saying, that's a good idea. Or they could also assist me by saying, that's a stupid idea. Because resistance can help you as well, right? But if it's to be, it's up to me. And that's it. So whether you have the support of your spouse or you don't have the support of your spouse, whatever you want to do, it is up to you. I was just talking to, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to throw this in real quick. So we were talking about 2 of our friends, right, that we know. And I was telling you about one of them had called me up and he's like, hey, man, I see that you're rocking and rolling, and there's so many things that I want to do, but my wife wants me to watch TV with her in the afternoons. So I can't do it. And then Mel said something that was like, aha, she'll see some things that I don't even see. And it's like so damn obvious. She's like, well, isn't his wife at work all day? Like, what is he doing during the day when his wife is at work? Like, can't he work on his dreams then? I was like, oh my God, you're right. Right? So that's it.
I don't like when people
So there's no excuses.
Yeah, I don't like I don't like your excuse being your spouse. Like, I think it's very wrong to talk to other people and your excuse is I can't do this because my spouse. I think it sets a bad tone. It puts you're having people looking at your spouse differently. And in this case, his spouse literally works. We've been at their house. She leaves their house at before 7 a.m. and she's back home after 5. So there's no way that her wanting him to watch TV in the afternoons is impeding him, because what is he doing all those other hours?
Just an excuse for an excuse.
It just makes no sense to me. Yeah. And you've got Ty on the phone and Ty is like, I don't like to watch TV. Right. So in his eyes, that's a bonus. So it's like, yeah, Mel doesn't like to watch TV, and it's like, so what? She likes to watch TV. She actually works outside the home every single day, 40 hours a week. He could get it done earlier and he could say, you know what, I can't watch TV with you today. I can watch. Ty likes to watch TV actually sometimes. Yeah. There are times where I just don't even like it. So I'm not even going to go sit with him and do it. Usually if I do, I'm scrolling my phone, I'm making a reel, doing something else anyway. So I just don't like that. They've been together way too long for him to even blame anything on her at this point, because I've watched her do nothing but support his dreams.
Yeah.
I think we have we're looking for out sometimes, and we really don't even have an out.
I think the key ingredients is if you've both got, you might be different as you both are, but like you said at the very beginning, you complement one another, Melida, and also it's because you both you might be doing different things, or you're both entrepreneurs, but you're actually you sort of have different roles within the businesses, but actually you are great communication, but also you both want the same things and you can understand why you both want them. That's the key.
I think it's about using what each other's strengths is. It's like, so Ty was speaking earlier about how there was a period in our relationship, he just wanted me sitting in my office. I'm in my office, which is upstairs, and he, all day doing what he's doing. And it's just not happening. First of all, I've got a 12 o'clock massage planned. I got my hours that I'm going to work, and then I'm off to do things. The child's got to be at gymnastics, cheer, dance. I've got to run around till 9 o'clock at night. It's just not happening. I think that one of the best things that could have happened was when we sat down and tapped into what I like to do. So one of the things I don't do it, but I'm certified for event planning. I used to have this whole company where I ran kids events and all this stuff. So before COVID, when we were doing our live events, I planned them all. It was what I did. I planned everything from A to Z. I was the one who, I think I heard him one day talking to you guys about somebody holding up the 10-minute sign and him being like, that's me holding up the hurry up, you got 10 minutes in the back while he's on stage, taking more time than he's supposed to have, and tapping into, that's what I like to do. I shine in those moments. And so just tapping into what, doesn't mean that every action is going to be action you like to do either. That's another thing. I've got some payments sitting in the background that I have. Ty is probably ready to wring my neck on. And it's like the worst part of what I do for us. I'm gonna do it, but you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that he only gets to do what he wants to do. No, that's not true. There's a lot of things that Ty does daily that he could care less about doing. And there's a same thing for me. There's a lot of things daily, but then tapping into the things that we are strong in and that does make us happy and does make us smile is important too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting as you were talking. We've got some amazing things in the
yes,
in the
Ty
chat.
Take out the garbage. Donna, our 18-year-old is to college, and me and my daughter, we are not doing it.
You know, one of the things I'll say this here because it's relevant. That one of the things that I was thinking, I sometimes have a personal battle's the wrong word, but sometimes when I look at my there's a lot of single mums on this call, you know, like me, and then that's an interesting and then maybe some single dads that I don't know about, so forgive me for not acknowledging you if that's the case. And one of the things I think is, part of me thinks that sort of, I've got what you're describing within my network of the 4 warriors, you know, the children, because everything we do, they're involved in it. We explain the goals, we talk about and we all just chip in together. And they're like your kids, they're busy doing their own thing as well. But one of the things that I sort of sometimes think, you know, is that I'm sort of doing all the things. And it's like, you know, and there's a lot of single mums on here that are building their businesses, like, you know, Shannon's like me, you know, we were talking about this before, where we've got our businesses. Shannon's also a geologist, she's running a company, and then she's got kids as well, and they've got lots of things going on. And I always sort of think that in a way it can be easier because you're sort of running the show, you know, and so you can sort of call the shots, and, you know, you're the adult in the house, you're running the show. But on the other hand, it can be tougher because often you look at the men and what they're putting out in terms of action, and you've got this, sometimes I find the balance quite challenging, and I have to talk to myself a lot about that.
I think that the grass is always greener on the other side. So you got you're always going to have a single parent, a single mom or dad. I've got a few cousins that are single, the one that we just talked about, and I'm like, girl, you ain't got to run nothing by nobody, or you don't, you don't even have to have that conversation. You just make the decision. And she's like, but you got Ty, you got help. And I think that there's beauty in both.
You just mix it up and do different things.
And I think that when she, the same person called me recently, and just overwhelmed with things since COVID. She has 4 children. You have 4 children too, right, Carolyn?
I have 3. Yeah.
3,
and
okay.
My daughter's boyfriend, so 4.
Yeah, okay. And she had them all home for ever since homeschooled, ever since COVID. And, you know, she was just talking to me. She was overwhelmed. And one of the things I said to her was, you need to put them back in school. You need to take your time back. You enjoy going. She's a real estate agent. She does really well. One of the things that left her, that she stopped doing, was being able to go into her office because the kids are home, virtual schooling and doing all these things. And she recently called me and she's like, thank you for slapping sense into me. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, she, you know, basically she had become I'm this single mom who homeschools, and I do everything, and I still sell real estate, and I work from home. And she had bought into this identity, and it was so scary for her to now tell people she couldn't do it all. My kids need to go back to school. I need to be able to go in my office. And so I say that to say, like, sometimes we have to reassess, even as a single mom. I've been a single mom before I met Ty. I don't know if you guys know, but we had his and hers.
Oh, go ahead, Mel. Talk about that, because I wanted to talk about that.
Like, I was going to talk about that.
What we call his and hers. My son, he is, how old is Davon? 23, 20. He's one of those. He's 23. And he's about to be 24. And then Ty has a daughter, and she's a year older. And when we met, we each had a child, but I was a single mom, and
I was a single dad.
Hard. Yeah, you have to be able to reassess things, look at where you overextending yourself. It gets real quick for us to want to prove to the world that we can do it all. But there's times where you got to be able to sit back as a single parent and still enlist help. And, you know, one of the things that this cousin has now done, she's brung in like a part-time nanny. She has a couple of younger kids still. She's only there for a few hours a day, but it's a time relief for her. And so things like that. And, you know, you can get real. There are times where our family was younger and we had to get really creative. I had we called her like a mommy's helper. And she came in 3 times a week. We found her online. She only charged $10 an hour, and everybody you know, no, Melida's got a nanny and blah, blah, blah. She can't do, but it was the best thing ever. It wasn't
Yeah.
costing us, it was costing us $10 an hour, 3-4 hours a day.
And that goes back to like not letting the gossip from external family get into
worry
you.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've in the background, they've just actually left. I've
Yeah.
had cleaners in the house today because I know I can't get to do those sorts of things. And so it becomes, I guess, one of the advantages for me, and one of the goals was to make enough money so I can outsource stuff in the house.
Yeah.
And I have to do that because you know, or else there's no, but I think it's so easy as a single mom, and your friends that you've talked about will get this as well, and you, when you had that period like that, is to get, I was in victim mode for a while, a long while, even though I didn't show it inside. And even sometimes, I remember when I first went into the KCF group, I thought, you know, all these guys in the group, 20,000 a month, 10,000 a month, they've all got wives at home, because they were all male at the time, you know, just because that's just the way it was a couple of years ago, because it's a new FastPass was sort of coming out, and you know, it's okay for them. And I thought, oh, hold on a minute, I can carry on like that and my life is going to stay the same, or I can become a man and a woman in one. But
and
you know,
you get creative and you use your village, and it's not always, everyone can't afford to bring in a nanny or a helper. But when I met Ty, you know, money wise, I had my not only did I have my son, I also had custody of a younger sister who I raised, and me and Ty actually put her through college. And I couldn't afford a nanny, right? I couldn't afford even a few hours a day, but I had a village. I had a girlfriend who we switched off. We literally had days assigned, you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays was her responsibility. I don't know what you're going to do with the kids. I don't know who your babysitter is, but that's on you, and vice versa. Mondays and Wednesdays were my day, because we were both going to in college. We were both working full time and working extra jobs. And that's just how we did it. To whereas these days are your responsibility. These days are my responsibility. And so no, it was an unconventional family. We didn't even live together, but that's how it went, and that's how we handled it.
Yeah,
I know we're 10 minutes after right now, guys, but I want to extend the conversation a little bit longer. This is going to be a little bit longer because we had some things that took place earlier. We were trying to play some music and other things. We kind of started it late, but if you guys have to leave, then by all means, please go ahead and leave. Post in the Facebook group what your biggest takeaway has been from this talk. This is a little bit different, right, than our normal, but I think it's highly beneficial to everyone. So if you do have to leave, before you leave out, make sure that you go in and post your biggest takeaway. So my biggest takeaway from the MMM call today was boom, right? Please post that in there. Caroline, I don't know how much more time you got, but
I'm cool. Yeah, I'm good for time. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Mel, I want to talk about real quick. So when we came into our relationship, two things. So I had my daughter Maya, who was 2 years old, I think, when we met. And then you had Devon, who was also just about 2 years old.
Maya was 3 and Devon was 2.5.
Okay, she's my memory bank as well, if you guys can tell. So Maya was 3 and Devon's 2.5, right? So we're very close. So we came in, like, and I'm sharing this story with you because there's so many different family dynamics out there, right? So we have a non-nuclear family. So 2 children outside of our marriage before we got married, and then we have 2 children together, Tyra and Summer. So while we got together, when we got together, guess what we also had to deal with? Who can guess what else we had to deal with?
Dreaded exes.
We had to deal with exes.
Yeah.
Right. So I had, and then I'm going to be nice. I had a challenging ex.
We both had challenging exes.
Right.
And did not say anything mean about anybody. It was so challenging that we were both granted full custody of our children individually at different times. If that can shed some light on probably what we were really dealing with.
Yeah. So you have this outside dynamic, right? You have this outside influence that is part of an influence on the children as well, right? Because trust me. And then you have this missing influence because the influence is not there, right? So children truly do need both parents, but you have that outside and I'm sharing this with you again, this is a very transparent talk, because no one's family dynamic is identical.
No.
100 people that's on this call, just like our cellular level activity, right? Like if you look at our cells and our genes, every single one of them has a different makeup for the most part, right? There's similarities, but our family dynamics, every single person on here is different. Some of you guys may have a spouse, some of you may not. Some of you may have a spouse that's still alive. Some of you may have a spouse that's deceased. Some of you may have no children. Some of you may have 10 children. Some of you may have grandchildren, right? So what we're hopefully giving you here is a bit of information, and hopefully there's one thing out of everything that we've spoken about or will continue to speak about that you can take, even if you don't have a spouse, that you can, or even if you are planning on getting married, right? Hopefully, maybe you're planning on getting married and there's something that you can take here. And it may be, hey, don't.
And no family is perfect. Don't let that stop you either. We have our share of problem. All of our kids. I know we talk. Everyone knows Tyler the most. I feel like when it comes to, unless you follow me, then you kind of know Summer a lot because she's the youngest. Well, she doesn't post for pictures anymore either. So now you kind of don't know who she is no more either. But you know, our family isn't perfect either. We face lots of issues with our older two, and we just plow through them, and
I think that's it, isn't it? Everyone's got their own dynamic and their own journey, like you were saying with your extended family as well, that whereas I don't have anyone else dependent on me except my children, you know, extended family wise, that's all you know, it's sort of there. But I think that the great thing is, whatever your situation, whether you're in a you know, happy marriage, or whether you're in a happy marriage but they sort of don't understand what you're doing right now and it's very hard because you haven't got any results to show, or whether you're a single mom or you're going through divorce, whatever it is, everyone's got their things. And I think it's about it's so easy, like I said, just to get into that sort of the victim mode, because there's all the reasons why you're going to feel like that. But then when you look at it and you start getting the results, and we've already talked about people's results there's somebody else in the group that announced a first month on Kindle Vella and doing amazing. When you start to get those results, they can be so sweet, even sweeter if you're in a marriage and you share it together, or very sweet if you're a single mum. You're like, I did that, you know. Or if you're, you know, whatever the situation. So I think it's that every single family has that contrast, and it's like, okay, how can I bring out the best of all of this? How can, you know, for me and my family, it's like, how can we be powerful together as we move forward before, you know, and attract the better person in the future, because obviously that will happen. And then just let go and forgive, you know. So I think everyone's sort of carrying different things, and it's so easy to look at a family and you don't see all of that. Like, until today, a lot of people wouldn't have realized that when you both came together, that you were both single parents and you'd gone through a lot of stuff, you know, 20 years ago. They wouldn't know that probably, and I know it, but they might not have known that. And so it's so easy to make assumptions. You don't realize that everyone's got a journey, and it's how you handle it, isn't it, along the way, and how you pick up all the positive aspects.
It's not an overnight success, you know.
That's right. And it's sort of what you do to yourself and how you talk to yourself while you're building, because it's in that, probably the most challenging time is in that first year or two when you're building a business, and your people around you, whether they're in your family or friends or whatever, they can't see the results. And you're like, you know, you got to believe it. I believe it. I know I can do it. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And it's that sort of period which requires like with you guys, when you're building your businesses together, requires that resilience to just keep believing and keep the faith. If they can do it, I can do it, you know. And even though we've talked a lot about you supporting Ty, a lot of this is actually about your entrepreneurial flair and the fact that you're both different, and it works because of the way that you complement each other.
I bring a lot of ideas to Ty, and then Ty will execute them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm, you know, maybe this will work. And then, you know, and then I'll turn around and I'm like, wow, you know, he executes it so quickly, and that's just not my strength. It's his.
And I'm a
So
bit like you,
that
you know, I'd
works
still be
best.
working on that great brand or the logo.
Oh yeah,
You
you
know,
know, I got to get the letterhead just right.
yeah.
I don't got a letter to send, but still got to be perfection.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like that.
So
Well, it's like
Fabulous.
that, right? I mean, and that's it. So it's recognized, and that's why, if you notice at the very beginning of KCF Live, I said to you guys, I said, okay, who here is a writer, and who here feels like they're an entrepreneur or a marketer, and I want you guys to switch positions, because even if you're a perfectionist, and let's say you're the perfectionist, or you're the person who takes imperfect action, right? You can also switch positions there. You could play the perfectionist. If you're an imperfect person, you can play the perfectionist for a week, or you could play the imperfect person for a week and just get it done, right? Just knock it out, and then, you know, go back and change things up. So in closing, Mel, for anyone, and Caroline as well, because I'd like to get your perspective, for people who are working through issues right now, whether it's issues with themselves or issues with their spouse, or maybe they feel like their spouse is not supportive. Mel, I know you have several friends who feel like their spouse is not supportive, right? Or may feel like they're super supportive to a spouse who's not doing anything with it. What advice do you have for the person that might be watching this right now and they're just looking to push through?
one of my biggest things is comparison is the thief of joy. And that is one thing to do, is sit back and look at your lifestyle. Just because this is how me and Ty's life works, it's not going to work the same for everybody. I have a friend who's the roles are completely reversed, meaning she's the one out there doing literally the husband is doing what I do in my part, and she's doing Ty's part. And there are times when she'll be vulnerable, and she kind of like what Ty spoke about. She wants her husband to do more business wise because that's just what she wants. But he does so much beautiful things for her that will make a woman swoon. Ty is not packing me breakfast every morning. He's not packing my lunch.
Wait, is that what you want? Is that what you
No,
want?
I don't. I really don't.
Sounds
But
like he needs to
no,
up his game.
I'm gonna
like
outsource breakfast packing and lunch packing, and you will
no,
never
to
know.
go where? Okay. No, but seriously, like he does all these things, and if you sit down with her, you know, he irons her. She's a anesthesiologist. He
Don't
irons
tell me the guy is
her
ironing shirts.
he irons her uniforms every day.
So
He
he's making
every
breakfast.
job that she hates to do around the house, he takes care of it.
Yeah.
These are but and so when I sat down with her and said, well, look at all of these things that he does, Ty is not doing any of it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
not
I'm damn
to-
sure
it's
not
to
ironing
say-
the uniforms and stuff like that. So that's not
I don't
happening.
even wear a uniform. Hey, this isn't about you. Shh.
Yeah.
No, seriously. No, but my point to her was comparison is the thief of joy. Don't get around other
It is.
people and look at how they like their life works. And now you want to mimic that. Me and Ty have lost a lot of friends over the years. A lot of great people who we could be amazing friends with right now as couples. And because they got around us and then they want to start comparing things and this and that, it's not fun anymore. So comparison is the thief of joy. Don't go in looking at what's wrong, what you think is wrong in your house, or is it just that you guys work differently?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that either. Everyone can't look like what me and Ty's household looks like. Every single mom's household can't look like what Caroline's household looks like.
Yeah, and that's so important, isn't it? It's not just about not comparing yourself to other people in the business. It's actually the whole lifestyle, because actually also we all know, you know, we can all look great on social media, and
we all do.
And we all
Right?
do, and we can, airbrush if we need to, put a little love heart, a little lol, whatever. But it's actually, it is about that not comparing and loving ourselves and our families, because we're all completely wired differently, and it's about that sort of love and respect for ourselves, isn't it, rather than looking at anyone else and thinking and making assumptions. Like I said, that people will look at you guys and just think, maybe they were just handed everything on a plate, and there couldn't be anything further from the truth. And the contrast.
I get that a lot. I've gotten a lot of that. Like, she just does nothing, and she gets, and I've worked so hard, and she gets everything, and if only they knew, like Ty said, he's hard to handle.
Amen.
But also, I know from working with Ty what you do in terms of the business. That's why when I introduce you as entrepreneurs, because you're both entrepreneurs.
I'm in the background, no one gets to see, and that's how I like it.
The brains behind.
The brains and the memory. She was the A+ student in class, and I was the C and D student. So definitely brains there. All right. Hey man, this has been wonderful. Fantastic. Hopefully you guys have gotten some value out of this. Maybe
you must come back, Melida. You must come back.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
Here. I hear y'all on the calls in the morning.
Yeah. We're waking them up in the morning. Let us know in the chat
box. Waking me up before 9.
Get her back, and then maybe we can get her at a KCF Live as well. So I think it would be beautiful, as a matter of fact, to get you at the January, not the one that's coming up next week, because we have KCF Live that's coming up Friday. Make sure you have your ticket.
Summer has homecoming dance, so I'll be busy making
KCFlive.com. Hold on, let me do my shameless plug here, woman. KCFlive.com. Get your tickets right now, KCFlive.com. All right, we have like 2 tickets left. If you aren't, right, marketing. We're going to talk about marketing as well.
So Melida, for January.
Yeah, I can do January. I can't do next weekend just because summer. It's her weekend. It's her first homecoming dance. So
go into the Facebook group. Let us know what was your biggest takeaway from today's session. What was your biggest takeaway from today's session? And then on Friday, we're going to talk about marketing. And then we'll also talk about what do we need to do but don't want to do in order to get to the next level. So
that's a good homework, actually. That would be good for people to share that on Monday's call, maybe, if we're going to do Marketing Friday. Yeah. Melida, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We're really grateful for sharing so much, the personal stuff as well. We really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I see all your comments. Thank you so much. You guys are all so sweet. I really appreciate it.
We have the best community on the universe. So when I'm bragging, I'm always bragging to my wife about, I'm bragging to anyone who will listen that our community is better than anyone else's community. So now she gets to see for herself what I'm talking about. And now you don't just think I'm just a madman bragging about these non-existent people.
No, Ty likes to brag. Me and the kids, we just, we say, oh, that's great.
So I'm always
we just feed his ego more.
I'm always bragging about the A game, guys.
But he really loves everyone. He loves giving to you guys and pouring into you guys. It's literally like the highlight of his day.
Yeah.
So.
George, I'm always bragging about you, of course. I was talking about you shooting your video on your motorcycle, man.
That's such a that's gotta win the competition for the coolest, funniest video of all of them.
Yeah. Most dangerous too. Don't do it again.
And most dangerous, And illegal.
The mommy was over here sweating. So
that is illegal in the UK. I'll just tell you that. I used to nick people for that sort of thing. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Great call. Thank you.
All right, guys. KCFlive.com. Go get your tickets and then go in the Facebook group and post what was your biggest takeaway. All right, we'll see.
Yeah, both the groups. That would be great.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right, bye, George. Bye, Darlene. Bye, Audi. Bye, Gary Westbury. Bye, Peggy.
Bye, Tanya.
Yeah.
Carrie.
Bye, Tanya. Tiny, your video really made me think and laugh. So I really, I thought I knew who you were, but the video solidified that. I'm like, badass Tanya.
She is badass. She's cool. Yeah.
Thank you, Sandy. She's Tanya, you said something about the group also. You were like, you guys know I'm not doing this. Something it was. I forget what it was, but I got a laugh out of that. Wendy, we'll see you. Joyce, we'll see you. And if there's anyone else that wants to create a video, listen, if the thought has even been on your mind, you need to go in and do it. If it hasn't been on your mind, if you didn't think, well, what would it be like if I created a video? If you did not think that, then don't do it. But if you even just thought about the idea of doing it, just go do it. Why not? Doing that will help you to really get over some fears that you may not even have known that you had. Shannon's video was amazing up in Canada up there. So her video was very truthful and heartfelt. Earl, Donna, it is so good to see you on camera. Donna Rockwell, all right? So I hope you're feeling much better. Very, very, very good to see you on camera. All right. Afnan, all right. Good to see you on camera. Nancy, we'll see you. Pauline Mitchell, my girl up there. All right. We got Cipriano. We'll see you. Rashawn, of course. Jane, we'll see you. Jane Jackson. Jane is always smaller. All right, guys.
Kathy in the UK.
I will see you. I'm gonna go get my Energizer smoothie so I can conquer the rest of the day, guys. See you. Real men drink smoothies. I don't want to hear any of that crap. What's this smoothie stuff? You know, it was like 5 years ago, Melida used to try to get me to drink a smoothie, and I was totally against it. I was like, what
With
man?
pureed asparagus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you an asparagus recipe, actually, Melody.
Yeah, that's what he needs.
Right.
Take
Like,
care.
no self-respecting man that's gonna drink a smoothie. Back when you were trying to get me to drink them now, and now I'm
Yeah,
all
that's exactly. Now he runs out every morning for them.
yeah. All right, so there you go, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
Have a good one. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Post in the Facebook group, guys. What has been your biggest takeaway on the MMM today? Thank you.